Good morning, and this is a worrisome welcome to a wiki war. I am going to, in this video, actually go through the first layer of the harassment that I encountered on Wikipedia as a form of editor suppression. So I am defining harassment, so everyone knows. I'm defining harassment how Wikipedia itself defines harassment and user behaviors. Okay, this is not necessarily a reflection of anything about me personally feeling harassed, although I did. This is what Wikipedia says. So we're going to start taking a look into the very first wiki war, the wiki war over Rupert Sheldrake's biography. And I think it's pretty fascinating, actually. And at the top of this video, I should also probably give you a really super big nerd alert. I am incredibly fascinated by these really particular type of arguments. And I absolutely can see how this is probably the most boring thing for most people. And actually going through this and editing this on Wikipedia is so tedious. I sometimes would rather drain my blood. But I'm being this specific and I'm going into this kind of detail because this is the type of research that I myself have been doing and I'm fascinated with. I am a developer of a consensus building platform myself. So that's my own personal background and interest. Additionally, in 2011, I actually had the opportunity to give a TEDx talk, and I mentioned Wikipedia significantly in my TED talk because at the time I was a Wikipedia idealist, which means I thought Wikipedia was probably one of the closest things as great as sliced bread as you could find. I was very blown away by it that everyone could, go online and collectively build this huge knowledge library. And I personally think Rupert Sheldrake is just a fascinating person as an individual. I think his story is so interesting. I really appreciate the dialogue that comes up when he kind of enters the mix. I am fully aware that Rupert Sheldrake is a very controversial figure. I am fully aware that most of his scientific theories and hypotheses are completely rejected by the scientific community. And no, I do not really have anything to say on the validity of his theories at all. Rupert Sheldrake, I did meet Rupert Sheldrake before I got involved with Wikipedia. I met him once. I did not have a relationship with him, but he gave a TED Talk. I gave a TED Talk. I defended Rupert Sheldrake against being censored on TED, which he was, right? That was a controversy that happened in 2013. And he did email me and asking me my advice about what to do about his Wikipedia problem. And I want to clarify that he asked me for my advice. It is not the same thing as Rupert Sheldrake asking me to edit. My advice on this is because this is what I have a background in. I have a background in digital media, online media, and consensus building.
For many, Wikipedia, the collaborative online encyclopedia, is the first place to go looking for someone or something. But can you rely on it? Well, not really, says scientist Rupert Sheldrake. He came in to explain.
Wikipedia is open to anyone to edit, and it's a wonderful idea. But because it's so widely used, it makes it attractive to people with an agenda to push their own agenda by becoming editors.
In 2013, Rupert Sheldrake was claiming that a group of skeptics took over his Wikipedia biography. And this concerned him primarily because Rupert Sheldrake himself has a very notable 30-year history with this tit for tat between him and skeptic organizations like SciSop, James Randi, all the big ones. And Rupert Sheldrake is for sure on their radar. And I think one of the reasons why Rupert Sheldrake is looked at the way he is because he is from the scientific mainstream. So Rupert Sheldrake is a Cambridge biologist. I want you to see here pretty much what was Rupert Sheldrake's Wikipedia page back in 2013 and what is a very non-controversial claim to be made about him. Rupert Sheldrake makes very controversial claims. I have no interest in promoting any of those controversial claims. Sometimes I find some of those controversial claims very interesting, right? Just the way his presentation. But there's certain things that are non-controversial about Rupert Sheldrake. And one of those things that is non-controversial about him is that he truly is a biologist, specifically from Cambridge University. This wiki war was about Rupert Sheldrake's biography, which is, of course, his life story. The biography page is not an article about morphic resonance. It's not an article about parapsychology. So all of the issues that Wikipedia has with fringe topics, because parapsychology is a fringe topic, there is not a controversy over biography pages. So you might see some going back and forth between, is Rupert Sheldrake a biochemist or is Rupert Sheldrake a biologist? Well, biochemistry is really just a subset of biology. Both are accurate. But this is, on his Wikipedia page, this would be probably the only, not even an edit war, but this would be the only responsible editorial confusion is, do we list him as a biochemist or a biologist? 2013, an editor showed up on Rupert Sheldrake's page and completely, without seeking a consensus, without leaving any comment or anything, just completely changed this first sentence. And now Rupert Sheldrake became a former biochemist and plant physiologist. And on top of that, inside the first sentence, he's now a former biochemist who gained notoriety for his subsequent writings on topics widely recognized as pseudoscientific. So this, of course, contextualizes the article in a completely new way. One, it definitely puts a certain perspective into the article at the top of the sentence. And this is the perspective that it comes and emerges from skeptic organizations that Rupert Sheldrake had a very long history with. And I think this would be upsetting to anyone because, you know, if you are a notable person and you do have a biography on you on Wikipedia, and you were to suspect or know that your antagonists are editing your article, it's upsetting. It would be upsetting to anyone. And because they were going in and not necessarily just needling him on his ideas, they were going in and kind of redefining who he was as a scientist. And this is, I believed, when I saw this, I just thought it was inappropriate. To me, I thought it was kind of like an obvious thing that should be able to be corrected on Wikipedia. On Wikipedia, there's very strong guidelines about editing a biography. And because a biography is about a living person, there's a different set of problems that can come into Wikipedia than any other type of article. So it's very important, as you can see on Wikipedia, right? They stress the neutral point of view is something that is not even up for discussion. It is very important that an article is contextualized from a neutral point of view. That means the language must be neutral. It cannot appear to take a side in any type of spat between any parties whatsoever. Strong guidelines. And so my defense of Rupert Sheldrake and Deepak Chopra has to do with human dignity. It has nothing to do with anything ideological. So when the skeptics criticize me, and which they do, and they misrepresent what I do, it's very important to understand. I defend them based on human dignity, just like I would any human being, independent of their ideas. And this is a consistent problem with Wikipedia, where you have semi-controversial subjects, and you will have either an antagonist or a protagonist dominate the article. And the wiki wars happen when there's a battle between antagonists and protagonists. The most mainstream and well-known example of this is Gamergate, which some say is literally one of the cultural causes of the entire alt-right itself. And Wikipedia played a major role in that. So it's a pretty big deal because on Wikipedia, you have really strong cultural forces, right, that are coming to a meetup on a Wikipedia article. And that's my fascination. I am utterly fascinated by that concept, right, that you have these different groups, different ideologies, and they're literally meeting up in one location to hopefully build a consensus around a shared narrative. But unfortunately, what happens is they're not able to build a consensus through consensus building. Consensus is built through editor suppression. And editor suppression is when you have one, sometimes it's the protagonist, sometimes it's the antagonist, maybe it's both, but you literally have one group of editors that are trying to prevent another group of editors from editing at all.